When it comes to beginning gardeners, there's one thing that I see a lot of you getting wrong, and that's the wrong type of soil. Now, it goes without saying that soil is the foundation of a healthy garden. Healthy plants start with healthy soil. But a lot of people fall in the trap of getting the wrong bagged soil from the garden centers when you could just be going with something that's local or something you can make yourself. It's far better and is going to be far better for your garden in the long run. And that one thing is raised bed mix. Now, I've talked a lot about my disdain for raised bed mix. Not only the fact that it's incredibly expensive, but you don't actually get a whole lot for your money, but just the fact that a lot of gardeners that are beginning gardeners, they say, well, I'm growing in raised beds, and therefore I need a soil that is geared specifically towards raised beds. And it's not wrong thinking. It's more or less the companies that are trying to make a quick buck on ignorance. And they're selling a product that is basically a glorified potting mix, which is some type of inert growing medium like coco coir or sphagnum peat moss that's had things like perlite and vermiculite added to it for aeration and some water holding capabilities. But there's really no fertility to it whatsoever. There's actually no nutrients added to it. It's all basically sterile. And so what it leads a lot of beginning gardeners to have to do is to overcompensate. So when it comes to the fertility that we rely on in our soil found in our raised beds, it's not going to be the same type of fertility that you're going to be relying on if you go with an inert bagged soil. You see, our soil has nutrients found from compost and native soil. The amazing thing behind this is that the compost provides lots of looseness, lots of humus and organic material, but it also provides nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, as well as beneficial bacteria and fungi, which help the garden to thrive. You're not gonna find any of that in a completely void of life, inert growing medium. But the other thing too is we get not only our macronutrients, the big three, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, but we combine that with our native soil, the stuff that we're literally walking on every single day. That clay that is found in our soil has tons of trace minerals that once we can actually use the compost to help to loosen and break the clay, it becomes loose and soft to the quality that we're looking for and plants would expect to grow in. Now, I know you're probably gonna say this, Luke, I don't live out in the country, I live in the city. I don't have access to compost. I don't have access to really good quality native soil. I have to go out to the store and I have to buy my raised bed soil. And what I would say is you're probably just not looking quite hard enough. There are so many places, even my wife came from Chicago, so I would know when it comes to big city, you can't get a whole lot more big city than Chicago. There are several places within the city of Chicago that have urban compost facilities where they take things like scraps from local restaurants, yard waste from municipalities, and they compost it down into a very affordable compost that you can use. And it is not only going to be way better for the overall environment, but it also is going to be way better for your garden, even in the city. And now I also hear this, well, Luke, what about the fluffiness, right? Like the fluffiness is so much better if you're looking at just reducing your workload. If you have the right type of soil, it should never get super compacted. This soil here, like I said, I told you I was going to talk about this, the fluffiness. This soil right here has lots of organic material in it. And the organic material is just as fluffy as the organic material you're going to get from a bagged potting mix or raised bed mix, only it's naturally derived from things like wood that is being broken down, leaves that are being broken down, and the exoskeleton, right? When you take a leaf and you decompose it, the outer structure will go away, but the inner cell structure remains in what's called humus. The humus is the exoskeleton of whatever is being decomposed and remains, and that is a spongy, porous, punky structure that is going to hold onto nutrients, hold onto water, hold onto air, prevent compaction, and it's going to be the exact same fluffiness you're going to get from a raised bed mix for pennies. Check it out. If you grab some soil here, you'll notice that not everything is the same texture. You have a beautiful composition of a lot of different things going on here, and all of the different chunks, the little bits of wood, the little bits of punky material. You get all of this stuff here in compost that results in a very fluffy, spongy soil that if you squeeze it, it's not going to compress, it's not going to compact, and all those air gaps is going to give home for the beneficial bacteria and fungi, which is so important in an organic garden. They're really the things that are working for you, and you're not going to get that in an inert soil. They're not found because there's no life, there's no nutrients, there's nothing for them to actually consume and survive on. So what you're left with is you're left with a very, basically like a desert. You're left with just a very inert lifeless place. And this has life. This is gonna give you success in the garden. Now I know what you're probably saying, Luke, what if I don't wanna go out and buy compost, right? What if I don't wanna go have to find those sources? Well, it's okay, you can make your own. It is so simple, and there's no excuse why you shouldn't be making your own compost if you have some yard space. In a tiny little area behind our shed, we make some totally amazing compost for free using things like kitchen scraps, yard waste, and even our neighbor's yard waste. When they throw out leaves at the end of the season, when they're raking up leaves, we take them back, we shred them up, we compost those as well. And it truly does put the saying to good use, one man's trash is another man's treasure, because for us, it's our garden's treasure, and it's amazing. And I absolutely would recommend anybody to do it because it is free and it's so easy to do. Now, I know a lot of you are gonna say, well, Luke, it's gonna smell, or it's gonna be unsightly, or it's gonna attract mice. Well, no, and no. It's not unsightly, it's very small. If you do it the right way, it's not going to smell. And if you compost the right things at the right time, it should not attract any mice. If you do it the right way, it should not attract any mice or rats or anything like that. So those are a lot of concerns and fears that people have that are just not realistic with our experiences. And so I'd highly recommend you to make your own compost. It's gonna help not only cut down on how much you have to fertilize, but it's gonna help your garden in the long run and become less dependent on those outside sources. And that's really what I want. I want you to have a better garden, but I also want you to leave that beginner gardener mindset in the past. If you've bought raised bed soil, don't beat yourself up. Don't think that you're a failure. I fell into that same category myself as a beginning gardener, thinking that anything that was labeled seed starting mix, I'm starting seeds, I'm gonna buy seed starting mix. Raised bed mix, I'm growing raised beds, I need raised beds. You look to be spoon fed everywhere you go. And what I want you to do is get out of that mindset, open up the gardener mindset where you can grow an amazing garden for less money and have more success doing it. And that's the whole goal of this channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new. As always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow bigger. Take care. Bye. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, consider checking this one out. You'll probably enjoy it just as much. I want to thank you so much for your viewership, because without it, this channel would not be as amazing as it is. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's free. Consider doing that. We upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, rain or shine. And if you need any garden tools, supplies, or seeds, check out MIgardener.com. We got you covered. See you guys in the garden. Bye.